So let's stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Our first item is the review and approval of today's agenda.
So moved.
By Joan, is there a second?
Second.
By Paul. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carries. We have 4 consent items on our agenda. Motion,
I'll make it.
Warren, second
Second.
by Joan and Paul. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, County Board member issue forum. Paul, we'll start with you today.
Have none. Thank you.
Okay, Warren.
Not much. We had the Transportation Advisory Committee meeting in Cedar Falls Base. We had the state rep there talk about the whole issue about freight traffic in the county, and a lengthy presentation, normal stuff. And the questions, among the questions, one that I found really interesting is they were asking, why are the counters taken off during harvest season? They never count the traffic then. It's always other times. And there was no good answer to it. So I'm sure that'll be one of the discussion items at the state level. And I'm not so sure that they're happy to do that. And of course, then there was a lot of talk about funding shortages. And as far as the ATP meeting that I was conducting, we didn't have a quorum, which was kind of strange. We had about 30 people in there talk about freight issues, but nobody was there to do our business for the month. So that was kind of a disappointment. And then we had the Red Lake Watershed meeting. I call it the Parnell Watchdog Committee.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing of any significance there. I have a copy of all of this technical stuff for Mark, but he's not here today, so that would be good, but nothing of significance there. And then we had the West Central Regional Water.
Which I just went tunk
Right.
that morning. I was at another meeting. Oh my goodness. What a day that was.
Anyway, we basically have approved the request that's going to go to the judge for the
District
area formation of the district.
Good deal.
And we were pretty much assured that that does not ask for any hard line boundaries. It's a soft.
Mm-hmm.
It can enlarge as the users want,
Mm-hmm.
not as anybody else does. And of course, that whole system is based on the participation by people who want the service and want to pay for it. But that's about it for my week. I have a meeting in Northwest Regional Development Commission at 4 o'clock today in Warren, so we'll have to be done by then. But
Yeah, I'll add one thing.
Yes.
I do have Dancing Sky on the 18th in Monoman.
All righty. Joan?
So let's see. That Wednesday after our last board meeting, I had the Minnesota Household Hazardous Waste meeting, and we had election of officers, and I was reelected as chair again. We did the director's performance review, and as usual, that went over really well. And we follow the salary increases that Clearwater County does. So for 2024, it was a 3% increase again. So we voted to approve that. And Randy, like he's at the top on their wage scale, so then he just gets that 3% increase every year. And then we had discussion on the pay that we offer the intern that we have working like kind of the late spring to early fall. And, there's just going to be fewer students that are looking for internships. And, so there's a lot more competition. So currently we had been paying 18 and we decided to raise it to 19, but also gave Randy and myself the discretion of if we have issues of trying to find someone, if we need to bump it up like to 20, that we can do that because our proposed budget for 24 would cover that. And this year, the ag collections that scheduled are for Polk, Marshall, Pennington, Kitson, and then Rosa will also be included in that schedule this year. They're every other year. Had extension meeting for going over the awards that are given out by the Red River Valley Development Association, and then also our Farm Family of the Year. And we've got a good list of names, and then we had off of each award we picked the top 3 people or families that we felt, and then as a committee we did a voted online. And I don't know for sure yet if all the people that were chosen have been contacted and have accepted yet. So so when those names are released, then it'll be, everybody will know. We had a Reaching Rural update, just kind of checking in where our project is right now. Andy was going to be posting for the project manager position that we're adding that will be paid for by the grant that we had received. He's looking at, probably the end of March for doing the interviews, and then he'll contact the people that, our cohort to see who's available to help with the interviews. And thought it was interesting that Andy had talked about how, you always would, talk about an applicant pool. He said now he feels like it's an applicant puddle. So, unfortunately that's, everybody's dealing with that. And then also just kind of, keeping in the back of our minds that like in a couple years we could be included on the site visits for future fellows in the program, like where we had went to Arizona last year for a site visit, and that, and like Blue Earth County had been included, and so that we have a good chance of becoming a site visit going forward for our program. And then had a SHAC member development meeting. We're looking, trying to recruit some new members, and we kind of had some discussion. We've done last year, we had a mentorship for program for new people on the SHAC committee to kind of just, help them to understand what SHAC is and, why it exists and those type of things. So, looking at how we can improve that program going forward. And I think that was about it for that. I did receive a phone call from a person who was concerned with not having a office support person at the social service office in McIntosh. And so I've passed those concerns on to Karen. And then also I received an email a piece of property in Badger Township, north of Erskine, has been sold, and the person previously, you know, had been in front of the board previously about drainage issues and flooding and those type of things. And apparently that information was passed on, he passed it on to the buyers. And so that person had sent an email to me just concerned with water levels going forward. And so I forwarded that to Rich, and I told the person that Rich would be contacting him with the information that he's looking for. So, and I will be in the cities for the rest of the week for meetings.
For what?
For some, I got futures meeting, and then I also have a shack meeting, and then we also have a baby shower.
I'll keep you busy.
Definitely.
I've got a couple items. Right after our meeting on Tuesday, Chuck and I headed down to St. Paul for legislative days for counties. Now there were also other groups there, so we're not the only ones. Sheriff, law enforcement was there, firefighters, the blind, soybean farmers. Ran into Wade Hanson there, a good friend of mine, and Alzheimer's.
What a combination.
So yeah, we have to share a lot of our time with Mark Johnson and Deb Keel, but we had an opportunity to express what our concerns with. I think it was kind of ironic, as I don't know if they've been told to use these two words. We have no money. No, I think they're sitting at about a $2.6 billion.
Well, that would be, that'll be spent in short order.
Well, exactly. And I mean, they had what, 18 billion last year and raised taxes this year, but no money. Well, obviously they do have some, but a lot of requests for dollars. So we just hope that we're on the top for at least our two priorities, water and garbage, basically, kind of infrastructure things. And that's kind of a theme also we had heard.
Well, my experience with that meeting
Yes.
has been that you're just better off coming back alone, being the only group that meets with your legislators rather than
Yeah, I think
sharing the time with.
and when they're up here, if they happen to be here for a weekend or something,
Yep.
you kind of catch them, call them, set letters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Or if
think
they
you're
had,
exactly right, because the amount of time that we have with them, and they have other individuals, from revenue and that type
Mhm.
of thing, making presentations. But they're also dealing with 1,600 new bills this year. 1,600. So it isn't all money; it is a lot. There were also some questions regarding open meetings, Chuck, and I wasn't sure if that's going to deal with, I think it did, with open meetings with individuals not here but are watching us on the internet, an opportunity to participate. Is that
Yeah, I didn't.
part of it?
I didn't really catch that fully. I think if you have on your, my take has always been if you have it on your agenda, an open forum for public input, well, then you have to honor that. We don't do that, but I know some places do, and I don't know. Generally, when they get into those kind of things, I don't worry about it until the very end of session or until they pass something.
Well, we certainly have given people an opportunity to visit if they're here and have an issue. And
Yeah.
Mhm.
Without being on the agenda? Well, usually if somebody's here, it's because of something on the agenda.
right,
If somebody wants to come in, I think it says right on the agenda.
right, it does.
Refer them to me and I put them on the agenda because you're supposed to know what the issue is.
Correct.
I can't, I know we've had people show up. Sometimes they talk to you, sometimes they talk to me, or they just show up.
Mhm.
And we just kind of handle it. something that says we don't, I don't think we've ever done anything wrong,
No.
you know.
Yeah.
It's always, our meetings are always open unless we're dealing with some personnel issue or contracts.
Yeah.
And I think I think this is very appropriate the way we do it here. If we open it to an open forum, then we have to have a lot of time and have the allotted time open the whole time and sit here for that whole 5, 10, 15 minutes, whatever we allot for that.
It could be a lot longer than that too.
Correct. And
Yeah.
it could be a lot longer. So I think this is the better approach. Have them request the time.
I try not to have anybody frustrated that they cannot come and talk to the commissioners.
Frustrated, yeah. I agree.
You know, if they want to ambush the board, that's a little different thing. I mean, in the end, it's the business of the county. And if you want the board to respond to something, well, you got to deal with it in a business-like way because you're under certain guidelines and rules yourself.
Yeah.
I think this is fine. I think the open meeting thing that's perfectly legit the way we do it here. And even if they get to watch us.
Yes.
If they want to get into it, they can always call. Maybe that should be noted at the meeting or before or at the end of the meeting that part is there. Since it is noted. I don't know. Maybe we don't have to.
Almost self-apparent.
Well, I think one thing too is on our website, we do have all our names,
Exactly.
phone numbers,
Contacts,
and I
yep.
think that's
Exactly.
the best way.
Exactly.
Right?
I agree.
Yeah.
I don't think we
Yeah.
have to belabor the issue.
We have an issue on here today that keeps getting brought up as a county issue, and I think, you know, I've got Rich on there because I know you guys have been approached by it, and he'll explain it. But sometimes the issue isn't what somebody thinks it is.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
And we had a discussion on this at last month's AMC Board of Directors meetings. And I think a lot of this has stemmed from during COVID when, you know, there were counties and cities that opened their meetings up to people that, you know, could, you know, be included in the meeting via, you know, the internet. And a lot of those boards were finding that, unfortunately, that some of that communication was being abused and people were discussing things that weren't on the agenda. And there was one county where they've had a person that would repeatedly come to their board on an issue, but then they found out that this person didn't even reside in their county.
That's a bummer.
You know, so there's just been, you know, unfortunately, there just have been so many things that have happened that, you know, where it could be a good thing that it's turned upside down. And I know that Mary Jo McGuire it's actually her, can't remember, it's representative, you know, that I think was actually bringing forth this bill. And Mary Jo, you know, had commented about she was going to have a conversation with her because it just, you know, is not something that's positive for, you know, that for the state to come in and require local boards to have that included in their meetings where, and kind of the pushback from the board right away was, well then, you know, the state before all their meetings that they should have 15-20 minutes of just open that people can just come in and talk whatever they want because that's kind of what they're expecting us to do. So
Obviously, with 87 counties, each kind of has specific needs, but AMC kind of works together to kind of have some priorities. To lobby for tax forfeiture is a big one, and that involves changing state law a bit, mainly because of an incident down in Hennepin County. But they'd also like to clear things up so that if we end up with property that's tax forfeited, and it's a real expensive involvement to, that maybe the state would be participating in that funding. That
Mhm.
would be a big dollar
Yeah.
figure. And
Yeah, because I mean, Polk County alone, we've got,
yes,
I mean, I can think of 2 projects on the east end that are going to be very costly too for demolition and disposal.
but obviously bonding is a high issue. Drainage, score the grants with landfills and those types of things. Mental health as a emphasis, and emergency response system investments. So those are the priorities, and we'll kind of see how things roll out in the next couple of months. And then the next day, Friday, got back, and we had planning commission in the morning. Dealt with some septic tank boundaries, and also John Reitmeyer is going forward with his convenience store just outside the Brookston limits. Wednesday was KROX Valley Talk. And then Friday was Val's last day here, and nice reception for her for 44 years. That's a long time dealing with administrators, department heads, commissioners. Welcome, Darcy, and thank you, Val. And then yesterday morning was the Minnesota Rural Counties Zoom meeting. And pretty much that was kind of a follow up of the legislators week. But we had a couple of speakers. Paul Yuke, is that how I pronounce his last name?
Utke.
Is that Aki?
Mhm.
Very supportive of the bonding projects. First thing he mentioned was landfills,
Mhm.
roads, bridges, those types of things. So that's certainly a very good, and of course our 9 county consortium was also discussed. John Hoffman was there, Senator,
Mhm.
and Mr. Fisher, I forget his first name, House Rep, uh, gave us kind of an update on what they were looking at, but an emphasis on the bonding. Of course, everyone's interested in that. Infrastructures, and of course, the Minnesota flag was brought up again. We had mentioned that at our last meeting, and I'm not so much if there's a stand that we need to take as far as with the legislature. But if you would prefer not to put funds to purchase a new flag here, that certainly a message could be sent to administration, and don't have to.
But it hasn't been passed either.
Well, and I'm not sure if it's going to be.
Well,
It's not
it
yet.
doesn't have to come in front of the legislature because, I mean, the committee decided on the design and supposedly, I mean, it's supposed to start flying on Flag Day, I think, isn't it? Or sometime in May?
That is not my understanding. They brought it up at the caucus. When we had the caucus, they talked all about it. That it has not been brought into law or representation of the state yet. But that's my understanding. I'm not
And
100%.
the, that's what people are pushing. They want it to be brought forth to a
Right.
vote.
Right.
But right now, there's nothing saying that it has to be brought to a vote.
So we'll try to get more of a follow up on that, just to find out, 'cause there is a little controversy on what is going to happen.
Yeah, and so anybody can just say, "I want a new flag," and then we can have a new flag. Is that what this is all about?
Well, so last year, the legislature, they put funding towards this committee to
So then it is a legislative
choose.
thing.
Well, they're the ones that this committee gave them the authority to decide on a new flag. And
Mhm.
and what they decide is to be our new state flag.
Nice try.
Apparently, I've done a little research that, and apparently this flag here was designed by one of the governors and submitted it, and it's been there. So I'm not even sure if that one was officially approved, but you know how these things gotta go. But we'll follow up on that and see. I don't know if anyone being mandated to you know, to show it. I think it's probably individual choice. And then a reminder, you probably have gotten information already regarding township meeting March 27th at the Eagles. That's a evening event, and that's usually big attendance. So we get a lot of, you know, it'll be a strong county. We got to have strong townships and good leadership. So
27th.
the 27th, yes, I think that's a Wednesday.
It's a Wednesday,
if I'm
yeah.
You
not
get,
and
is that a
that's-
mailing or anything on that?
I'll be in Nisswa for the
That's,
leadership summit. So
Yeah.
Like they have the meal and you have to pay for the meal and indicate which one you want and such.
Fine.
I told them, I had a mailing on it.
Yeah,
anyway.
Brenda Dale, I think, sends that out, but she may not have all the updates of Paul's address or anything on that.
Hey, I don't know if I received it yet, but I just can make sure I'm around. Yeah, it's a Wednesday. I should be around.
Excellent.
Do you know time?
Yeah, I have to look right here and see.
6, I believe.
6 o'clock.
Got it.
That for the meal or?
Yes, and then I think the meeting starts at 7. Sam usually is there and has a few words to say.
Oh, that's in the fall.
Well, okay.
They don't invite me to the big one.
You're invited now, Sam. Hopefully things can work out for you.
Thanks.
Sarah Reese is on our agenda. Public health.
Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning.
Apparently that screen isn't working.
Here you go.
Oh, okay. All right. Good morning.
You need a rear view mirror there.
Yes,
Well, it's big enough, I can see it.
all is well for the vision. So I have just one item today, and that is the advertisement and hiring of a registered nurse or a public health nurse. And a little background. We have a current LPN paramedic position that is located in our correctional health area, and they have submitted their resignation because they have moved and have sought employment closer to where they currently live out of the area. And so this position is one that previously, when we were trying to hire for this position a couple of years ago, we posted it as an RN or a PHN, and we weren't able to fill that position. And so we had to get a little creative, and we had an opportunity with a candidate who had, between the LPN and the paramedic, they have the right credentials to be able to be in the correctional health setting. So that situation, hiring an LPN and paramedic was very synergistic and has been a good fit. One of the things that we've recognized, though, is we have transitioned to operating under more protocols at the jail. And unfortunately, an LPN and paramedic cannot utilize protocols, so it does limit their scope of practice. So similarly to before when this position was open, we would like to go back to the original posting of what it was intended to be with that full scope of practice as a registered nurse or a public health nurse. And just as a reminder, a registered nurse is a 2-year RN. A public health nurse simply indicates that they have a 4-year bachelor's of nursing degree. So that's the only difference. They're still a licensed registered nurse in the state of Minnesota. So today I'm seeking to advertise and hire for this budgeted position, going back to the RN or PHN role that it was originally sought to be hired as.
Is there a motion to approve?
Moved.
By Joan, is there a second?
I'll second.
By Warren. Any further questions or discussion?
Is there going to be any in-house?
There might be an in-house candidate that might be interested. But it's a personality fit and a a work type fit. And so yes, that's a possibility.
Okay.
But if not, we'll work on finding the right candidate externally. So one way or the other. We've really appreciated the LPN paramedic who's been in that role. And of course, sad to see them leave, but also want to make sure that we can find the best fit for the organization going forward. So
Who is that departing person and what is the reason or why is she leaving?
it's Chad Zier, and he has moved outside of the county and has sought employment where he's moved to.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Anything else, Sarah?
No, thank
All
you.
right, thank you much. Richard,
Good morning.
morning.
Try to get you through this quickly.
6 items.
I spared you 4 minutes.
Yeah, thank you. Which one is this? Come on. Oh, no, you and Mr. Holy's. We had a bunch of bid lettings on 2 Fridays ago. What was it? February 27th,
23rd.
23rd. The first bid letting was that of the overlay on CASA 14 and CASA 45. We had electronic bids. Lowest responsible bidder is that of Knife River Materials in the amount of $1,762 and $1,762,174.50. And I need approval for the chair and the administrator to sign the contracts. Award to Knife River, have the chair and the administrator sign the contracts.
And that's the whole 14 and 45.
14 from 45 to 75 and 45 from 220 to 75.
Other questions?
I so move.
Thank you, Paul. I will second that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Item 2.
Next, we have the mill and overlay on CASA 8 from Trunk Highway 2 up to the north limits of McIntosh, and then CASA 105 in Erskine. It's like a block.
Oh, that's why I couldn't find it.
Yep. So it's downtown Erskine, south of Highway 2, south of the tracks. So we have a Agassiz Asphalt LLC is the lowest responsible bidder at a total bid of $276,681. So I need approval to award to Agassiz Asphalt and have the chair and administrator sign the contracts.
By Joan, is there a second?
I'll second.
By Warren.
Where are they out of?
That is Davidson's out in Fulton,
Oh, okay.
subsidiary thereof.
Oh, yeah, yep.
Any other questions? Not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, motion carried. Item 3.
Next, we have our gravel road stabilization or our base 1 projects. And so this year we are doing CASA 35 from CASA 8 to the East County line. So all the gravel on 35. Lowest responsible bidder was Tykeetson Construction Incorporated out in New Fulton with a grand total of $539,600. So I need approval to award to Tykeetson Construction Incorporated and have the chair and administrator sign the contracts.
Where's 35 again?
It's north of McIntosh,
It's my neighborhood. So
about
moved.
5 miles, and then all the way to the East County line.
Okay.
So
thanks.
moved.
Owned by Joan, second
Paul.
by Paul. Any further questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Number 4.
So our next item is the route and seal of our cracks on our bituminous roads. This is the rebid from last year. Lowest responsible bidder is Asphalt Services Technology Incorporated in the amount of $173,130. So I need approval to award to Asphalt Surface Technologies Corp. And have the chair and administrator sign the contracts.
Where are these guys out of?
Their Aztec is out of. Where are they out of? Somewhere down south, down by St. Cloud. I can't remember the exact town.
That's fine. Paul, I so moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Warren, any further questions regarding?
Are they the ones that had the original contract?
No.
Okay.
The ones that had the original contract didn't bid, or they're no longer in business.
Oh,
Is that why we had to
That's
redo
why
this?
we had to redo it.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
and now you're following, I mean, the same schedule you had last year, not adding anything extra or?
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Rental, huh?
So every year we have to do equipment rental bids so that we can take and use companies to do emergency work on hourly basis. And so you have in front of you the list of everybody that bid for equipment rentals, front side and back side. And so I just need a motion to approve awarding to all that bid on the equipment rentals.
I'll move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Question.
Yes,
Tony Philippi, backhoe.
yes,
Is he still in business? I think he's in a,
yes.
he is, okay. All right. I thought he was probably physically out of it.
Well, he didn't give no proposals.
Or maybe he has somebody to operate it for him.
No, typically he operates his own little backhoe. It's a rubber tire backhoe. We'll deal with that issue if that issue comes up.
Okay,
Right now, I don't have to worry about it.
no, okay.
So, not yet anyway.
All right, you have a second bidder if,
Well, we got plenty of bidders that can do what Tony has done in the past.
Yep.
So
he's done very good work from
he
what I heard.
does. Yep.
Okay, a lot there. Do we have a motion to proceed?
I moved,
Ready?
I did.
All right.
Take your vote.
Anything else? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
So an update, you wanted an update on the rock situation out on 61. So when the landowner was in here last spring, asking for us to pay for the rocks, we had discussions about the rocks. I contacted Burlington Northern because they're the ones that put the rocks in the field. We didn't.
And you made a bigger mess.
And
A hell of a bigger mess.
And so They are in the process of,
It's done.
they submitted
We'll
it
give you
to,
a chance here to respond.
they submitted it to their claims department, and their claims department was supposed to get in contact with the landowner. I thought that had happened last year, must not have happened last year. So again, when I heard about the issue, I contacted Burlington Northern again. They were getting a hold of their claims department, and I don't know if their claims department has contacted them yet or not. But they're supposed to be in contact with the landowner about the issue on his property and doing whatever they feel they need to do to compensate him for that. So until Burlington Northern's done with their process, I don't think there's anything that we should do as a county. Plus, once it becomes a county issue, then we have a process in which we follow when landowners have claims against the department for costs, and we will start that process when that happens. And so we will let the process determine what happens at that point.
And they have,
You're aware that a billing had been presented a month or so ago
Well, it was the same billing that was last year, correct?
for the same amount, or
It was partial, yeah, there was a partial amount from last spring and then an estimated amount for the remainder of this year to clean up more rocks from this year, correct?
okay.
So,
Questions, and then we'll
but
Mr. Waker.
in Burlington Northern has yet to respond.
I don't know. I'm not Burlington Northern.
We've
So,
settled. You
Go
and
ahead.
Burlington Northern and I have settled. They were really good to work with. Mr. Sanders and his crew made the mess a heck of a lot bigger. That included 14 total acres. You guys took, between you and Burlington Northern, you guys took 14 acres that are worth $10,000 an acre and reduced it to $1,500 acre rock pile. Your cat took that pile and pushed it further north, making a heck of a lot bigger mess for us to clean up. Did you ever go see it? You, Mr. Whiting, too. Did you guys ever go see it last spring?
I think we could hear you, sir. Next one. Okay, we'll bring it down.
I called you, Sanders, and you said you didn't have time to come take a look. That's 10 miles, boy. That's a long ways to go.
I went and looked at it. I saw pictures of it.
Yeah,
But
and the piles were pushed 200 feet from the railroad track, which you guys had part of.
We made you're correct. We took the snow, not from the railroad tracks and pushed it all the way north, but we took snow within the area and made a snow fence out of it. Okay.
Do you know how
The rocks were put into the snow by Burlington Northern.
And you guys pushed it further.
Did you get paid? Did you get paid for your time from Burlington Northern or not?
Not yet.
Okay.
It's in the works.
Okay. So if you have a bill,
I gave you guys a bill.
and it's being
And you guys
satisfied,
sent it to Burlington Northern.
Yeah, that was,
Burlington Northern's going to pay you for
That
it.
is not Burlington Northern's bill.
yeah, this is what we're talking about today.
I know, but was
It is because they're the ones that put the rocks in your
Yeah.
field. All we did was
Yeah.
move
Past
them.
spring, yes,
before rocks were picked?
yes.
Okay.
Anyway,
You know how big that pile was? It was 30 feet at the base, about as long as this building right in here.
yeah, I can understand
15
that.
feet high, 2/3 of a mile long. You know how long that took to melt? And you know how long and how much messing around? I'm not done. You know how long it took for that to melt, and we had to go back and go back and go back and seed it, work it again. Not only seeding it, going back and forth, we had to do the same thing spraying, same thing combining, and here we are. I'm supposed to be sitting in a truck right now, and I'm sitting here visiting with you on something that's over a year old. This is ridiculous. And yes, I said you could go out there. And you didn't talk to me very nice on the phone when I stopped that cat last spring.
I didn't talk to you very nicely
No,
on
you
the phone.
didn't.
Okay.
I did you guys a favor, and you guys made a bigger mess out of what the mess already was.
Okay.
That's exactly what you guys did.
Okay.
question.
You know what my yield drop was because that was seeded almost a month later? About 25 bushel the acre less than what it should have been because it was seeded so late. Not only that, that's close to 250, 300 bushel at $8. That's almost 3 grand. And we're still not done picking rocks. And the railroad was very nice to deal with. And you guys, you don't think you should be held accountable whatsoever. I never heard of such a crock in my life.
Okay.
Go do you a favor and goody for me and blank you. Yeah, that's how I feel.
No, that's not.
Well, how come no one came to help pick it up or pay us? My sons and I, when the kids quit, worked our tails off, and we're still not done.
It's my understanding that Burlington Northern is going to take care of you and your time to pick rocks.
Well, what, my time for the county after they made the mess bigger isn't worth nothing for the county?
So you want to
You know, Bob Lean for years and years and years plowed up snow. He had no problem at all. Did a wonderful job.
Yep.
You guys, you push it in one great big pile and it takes forever to melt.
I don't know what to tell you on that issue.
Nor do I. What's the difference if I come over and dump rocks in your guys' yards?
We didn't
And leave it.
We didn't dump rocks on your
Well, you
field.
pushed them around and made a bigger mess, didn't you? You know what? I wouldn't dump rocks in your yard. And if for some odd reason it did happen, I'd be cleaning it up before you even knew about it.
If I felt it was our issue,
It is your issue.
we would have cleaned it up last year.
It is your issue.
Burlington Northern put the rocks in your field. We just moved them around when we went to build the snow fence.
And made a bigger mess. A heck of a lot bigger mess.
What would you like us to do about
It
it?
is absolutely impossible to push a pile of snow and not make a bigger mess. And that's exactly what you did.
We do it all over the place. This isn't the only field that we do snow fence on by
Well,
pushing
you won't
snow.
be doing it ever again.
That's
I
fine.
guarantee you that.
That's fine. I don't have an issue with that.
I put in a bill for $2 grand and that's what I spent.
So Burlington Northern said they're going to take care of you. If and when they don't take care of you, then there is a process in which we submit our bills through our insurance company, and our insurance company reviews it and pays it.
Better
So-
submit your bill.
Well, we have to wait and see what Burlington Northern pays first.
That's between me and Burlington Northern, not you.
What you're asking for is that $2,000
Yes.
reimbursement.
Yes, Mr.
All right, let's
That
leave
is-
it at that, and then we'll
The,
questions that we've
the
got
claim
here.
has to do with removal of the rocks, picking the rocks.
Mhm.
It doesn't talk anything about damage to the property.
And we're still not done. We'll never get all caught up with that.
So if and when Burlington Northern pays them for picking the rocks, if they pay him $2,000, he's taken care of. Okay?
No, the claim is $2,000 to us, not to them, the charge.
It's not our issue. I submitted it to Burlington Northern. Burlington Northern's taking care of the $2,000 rock issue.
No.
If they choose to pay him $2,000, then his time for picking the rocks is taken care of. We shouldn't have to double his pay for doing something that he's charging to do. Now, if it's a $4,000 bill, I need to know if it's a $4,000 bill. But right now, he says it's a $2,000 bill to pick the rocks. He's picked some, he's gonna pick some more this summer. Okay? We didn't put the rocks there.
You did.
Burlington Northern took the rocks out of their ditch and put them in his field. We built the snow fence from the snow that was in the field, because last year there was snow all over the place. Okay? And where that railroad track is and where his field is, the railroad track is like its own snow fence. It ends up piling up on our road. So it's not a simple issue, but the fact is we didn't put the rocks in his field. So I don't feel it's our responsibility to pay for picking rocks. If we damaged his field by going too low and made gullies in his field, and he had to go through and fix that, then we'd be paying for it. But the rock issue is a Burlington Northern issue, period. It's not a Polk County issue. We didn't put the rocks in his field.
You pushed them into a bigger mess.
We've
Correct.
got, I think you had submitted, and you probably saw us passing something. I think Warren
Yeah.
maybe received these from you last spring,
No,
Right.
these photos.
well,
Yep.
give them,
That was about a month and a half ago, Mr. Wellhite.
This was,
Those
What?
are pictures from last spring.
but these
Yeah.
are from last spring.
Right.
Right.
And that's what we saw last spring when he was in here as well.
So, I mean, there's the question of who put the rocks out there. I think we've established that, right? I mean, you didn't bring rocks, and but
Right.
once the rocks were there, you're saying that they were disturbed and spread out more like this
More further out in the field.
and further out.
Up to 200 feet from the tracks, which the county did.
So you're saying that basically
We would,
two issues regarding damage to your field. The one, the rocks that came, got there, there's some responsibility from the railroad office for that. But you're saying once they were there, now the county came in and you're saying they got spread further into the field. Does that kind of sound like what happened?
it's the only way they got that far out there.
And you didn't know the rocks, you're saying that you didn't know the rocks were there
Correct.
when you did it.
Correct.
He
We
never
wouldn't have known the rocks were in the snow because they're typically not in the snow when we push snow. I mean, like I said, there's many fields that we do this on, and we stay above the field when we start pushing snow, and we just push snow into a pile and to stop the snow from blowing across the road or drifting onto the road. So
Okay, I think we've got some information on both sides.
I wonder
well,
maybe,
to put this issue to bed, and I think it probably will, as far as the county's involvement in this, I'm gonna make a motion to pay that $2,000 bill.
Is there a
Well-
second? I'll second for discussion anyway, purposes. Discussion. Go ahead. I think you were gonna say something.
can I-
there's
Chuck? Or,
there's many
Go ahead.
more issues that this is going to affect than just rocks in the field. So if we're gonna start a policy where we're paying for people's damages that happen without our process, you're gonna start paying a lot more money than $2,000. Because everybody that gets a cracked windshield, loses a mailbox, has tack on their car from chip seal project, has salt on their car from a calcium chloride application that they drive through too early, is going to be in here asking you for money. And you're setting the precedence to pay it instead of following the process that we have set up to cover issues such as this. That's my comment. So if you want my budget to go from 3 million a year to 6 million a year, I'm
Well,
just
what-
saying,
What is the situation if some legal action comes into play where the amount is a heck of a lot more than this?
then our county attorney will deal with his attorney. Our insurance company will deal with his insurance company.
And whatever involvement is a heck of a lot more than $2,000. Win or lose.
Maybe in this situation it is, maybe in this situation it isn't. Because if we didn't put the rocks in the field, it's not our responsibility to pick the rocks.
Even though you made a bigger mess. Goody for me.
Chuck, you had a comment?
I think that Commissioner Strandell, your motion actually is saying that the county has liability for this. And I don't think that staff is going to agree with you on that. All due respect to Mr. Wagner. I do think maybe a thing we can do is file a claim with MCIT, our own insurer, and have them maybe push on Burlington Northern a little bit faster. I don't know why it's taken so long, but
It's done with Burlington.
have you gotten your check?
It's done.
Have you gotten your check?
Should be this week.
You don't have it right now.
I don't have it right
Okay,
now.
if you have your check and it's $2,000, what more is it that you're looking for? Other than
the mess, you guys made it worse.
okay, what's the value of that, sir?
I just $2,000.
Okay, you're getting that from Burlington. You're getting that from Burlington Northern.
No, I'm not getting that from Burlington.
You just told me you're getting your check this week. What are you getting from Burlington? What are you getting from Burlington Northern?
That's between me and Burlington Northern. It's none of your business. None of your business.
All right, then I think you ought to be filing a claim against the county. Whatever the claim is against Burlington Northern, we'll let our insurance company deal with that.
What part don't you guys understand? You guys
I don't understand why you allow us on your property to do this. We work with Burlington Northern in order to recompense you on your loss. And then you want something in addition. I'm not exactly sure what it is. If you don't want us to do this again in the future, I think our department will be happy not to do it.
Yeah, so will I.
Yeah, we'll all be good from then on. Monetarily wise, I'm not sure what more other than your $2,000 you're asking for.
$2,000. That's what
You
I'm
just
looking
got
for.
that. You told me you got that from Burlington Northern.
No, I didn't get that from Burlington. Got a heck of a lot more.
Oh well, that's good.
Yeah.
What's the value of?
You guys should have part of this.
We turn it over to our insurance company. This is why we have an insurance company. If you want to make motions and start giving out checks to people, go ahead. But the staff is not going to back you on that.
When I think damage has been done, I'm going to make motions in this way.
You already did.
And I did, yes. I have also passed out a communication from Mark Foley.
Do you want to read that?
I could. I asked him about it. I knew he wasn't going to be at the meeting today. He's at a court action in the cities at the moment, but to whom it may concern. Unfortunately, I cannot attend on Tuesday, March 5th, the meeting. In the late spring of 2023, I did observe Mr. Wagner's field with him. While the area did not have overly large rocks present, it did have smaller rocks, grapefruit size and smaller, and a fair amount of them. My understanding of the situation is that yes, the railroad moved snow first, but then a contractor from Polk County moved the snow and buried them even further into the field. Well, the presence of rock to some of you may be of no concern. This land does grow sugar beets quite well. Any rocks into a harvester can do a lot of damage. Mr. Wagner and his rock picking crew cleaned up the area good enough for now, of course, but many rocks are buried and will not surface for a while. I am in favor of compensation to Mr. Wagner. He has been mindful of things and understands things do happen.
You want to submit that then, I suspect, to the minutes?
Well, we can't be responsible for rocks that are buried because there's a lot. There's a lot of rocks out there that are buried.
Rich, I think the point now is they just have to vote and decide. I think staff is
Paul, he has a question, I think.
have to process enough.
Paul,
Here's how I look at this. From what you're telling me is what you're doing with Burlington Northern is separate from what you're asking of the county. You're asking the county for a stake in the game. I understand that. What they're asking is to let's submit a claim, which that is the position I would go for, is to submit the claim because that's the due process. If the insurance claim awards you extra compensation for your loss, then that is the route that it should be that protects all at hand. Since you did not ask us directly and submit a bill for anything today, outright giving you X amount of dollars, 2,000 in this case, I'm not convinced that that is the right approach. That means anybody could walk in and ask us for that. I understand that. I'm not opposed to, I'll rephrase that. I understand that farming is a very important process and land is valuable. But we should follow a process. I'm not denying the fact that you are looking for more compensation, but let's do it in the right fashion. If you want to submit a claim to us and we present it to our process, and they deem that you may be awarded more than the 2,000 you're asking for, fine, or less, or whatever it comes out to be. But let's do it that way. That makes way more sense to me than just outright giving you what you deem the process, because there's no how much an hour are you charging, how many hours have you put in. We don't have any of that. You're just telling us it's worth $2,000 more.
Mr. Reese, I submitted a bill.
I did not see that.
We've gotten it, but my
Fine.
assumption has been it's the same one that went to Burlington North.
Okay, correct. Sounds good. So you're just okay. So you submitted your bill to Burlington and you submitted a bill to us.
No, they took that bill.
Oh, and submitted it to Burlington. I see. Okay.
And as far as when that cat was out there pushing, we've seen the pads on a cat.
Yeah, I understand.
Well, like this, that
There,
soldier rocks deeper in the ground.
I understand that. I still think if you want to submit another thing, I think we should submit it to our insurance and let it and take it forth that way. Yes, it takes a little bit more time and to be reimbursed, but I think that's gonna get you that and more to resubmit and get and submit what it's gonna cost to get this taken care of if that's what you choose. That's my opinion.
Should I bump it higher because of the yield loss?
That's up to you.
Because we had to sit and wait and we had to go back and forth.
That's entirely up to you, but I would not see that that would be opposed. I can't see that there would be anything wrong with that.
And we had to do it with every step of farming.
I understand that, and
Back and forth, back and forth.
I don't see anything wrong with that either. But I think you got to go through the process in order to receive that. If you want to submit that to our insurance, then that's what you must do. I think that's a better process. And then whatever the insurance comes up with, that's what you get. But yes, there's yield loss. You've already proven that. You've had a yield loss, and you've got time invested in picking, and you're gonna have more time. Make an estimate of how much more time you're gonna have invested in it. Yeah, you're never gonna get them all picked. I picked rocks since I was a kid. You never get them all picked. Put it together and submit a new bill and let our insurance do something, including your yield loss for last year, this coming year, whatever it is, and let them come and do their own assessment and see if you're in the ballpark or not. They have people that know how to do this. That's what my opinion would be.
Yeah, and I mean, rock picking has always been my least favorite
Mine too.
job. I mean, rocks are no fun. But there is a process that should be followed. We have policy, and that process needs to be followed, and then go from there.
I will say that I'm sorry you've had to go through this. Generally, when there's a claim against the county, we do work with the claimant to get the information together. Then we kind of step back and let the insurance company deal with you one-on-one.
So you're saying, Chuck, that we're insured. So this would be something that you would file then.
We would file it as a claim. If I was Mr. Wagner, I'd be throwing everything in.
Everything.
Right. I think you'd have to expect that the anything you receive from Burlington Northern will come into question on this. Not, again, you say that's your business, but that may be the insurance company asks you about that, and then see where it goes. It's probably going to still fit under our deductible. But the key point, and go back to Mr. Strandel's motion, is that it says where the liability is or how to do it, so it doesn't create precedence for further claims. That's just kind of the normal way. But I think from Rich and my standpoint, you were talking a little bit in the past with Mr. Wagner, is that Burlington Northern will solve this. We view them as liable, and apparently they have or have indicated to you that they agree with that. I'm still not sure exactly where we come in then, over and above that, other than your displeasure with how it worked out, which
Well, I don't disagree with it, the fact that we spread the distribution another 100 feet or however many feet it is. I understand that we did that. We didn't do it maliciously. We did it inadvertently, but it was done
Yeah.
by our machine. Understand? Then let our insurance take care of it. Don't penalize us outright. Let's let our insurance do it because it was an inadvertent act. Let's take care of it the way it should be done. Let the insurance do its job, if you're okay with that. But you must submit the yield lost, everything, the time, your effort, everything. Let's go at it the proper way, the way it should be done, and let's get it taken care of. It's going to take a little bit more time. I don't know how long insurances takes forever, it seems like. But if we're willing to wait, you're going to have last year's production, this year's yield to take care of, your time in the field. You were late in your yield or getting in the field, all of that. That's all got to be processed in there. Maybe you submitted that to Burlington already. I don't care about that. Submit everything you think to us as well, and let the insurance company figure it out.
Should I just redo it all, including the yield loss,
Everything.
and then bring it into you guys?
No, to the insurance.
bring it to me.
Bring it
The
to him.
Chuck, and then Chuck would
Where's
present it to.
you guys at highway?
He's out at Highway. I'm down at the end of the hall here.
And you bring it in, and he'll submit it to the insurance. That's what I would do. Get everything in writing, everything you want to submit to our insurance, and we will submit it. Correct? Am I speaking right?
Yeah.
Everything. And we'll submit it and see what we can get legally taken care of.
I hope you understand where I got located.
Absolutely. I don't see a problem with that. But as long as we leave here civilly, we're golden.
I think you've been very reasonable with the amount, considering the damage you've got, to be quite honest. But Mr. Strandell, how do you feel? Do you
What if
want to proceed?
What if insurance says no?
Well, then we're probably back to this again. Could be.
Could be.
Could be.
We'll see. I don't think we're going to lose on this.
I don't want to go to an attorney. I've spoke with an attorney.
I know, and I don't think we want to either.
I don't think you got
It'd be nice to work some of this stuff out. There are some complications if you do, apparently.
Well, I don't know.
Future claims.
It's a small claim.
The insurance going to deal with it just fine, I think. It's not a problem.
Somebody will call you from claims adjuster type, and they'll want to talk to you. Might even come out. See, they may talk to us and say, "Want to split the difference? You want to, whatever it is." And I don't want to sound like we're just giving you a line here, but it legitimizes whatever we do with an actual payment.
I just think that's the best route. Let's at least try it to start with.
Comments, Mr. Strandell?
Well, to prevent this from not being addressed in the future, I would move to withdraw my motion.
Yeah,
I'll accept that, and with the strong recommendation that as soon as possible you could get the information and you deal directly with Chuck regarding the insurance, and
don't leave anything out. Everything.
So, I don't know if you guys, Mark knows all about the tree harvesting,
Oh, yeah,
plastic grab rolls.
yeah.
I don't even dare use my main machine
It's fine.
this fall. I'll use the old one. Say you wreck 10 of those plastics, that's close to $5,000. Plus bearings because they seize up and you gotta cut them out. My neighbors ran a rock in their combine a year ago. They got their combine out of Titan beginning of February, just shy of $60,000.
I understand. We want to avoid that.
That's real math money, fellas, ladies and gentlemen.
I just want to assure you that we don't view this as a personal thing. We just view it as a business thing. I'm talking about Rich and I. Because whatever you're entitled to, you're entitled to. We have a difference of opinion, but we're not the final say in that either. And I think just coaching for the board, the insurance company is in between us and a final decision. That generally works out the correct way. And we've paid claims. We've won claims. But I mean, it's just like a judgment. That's it. And it's like just doing business at that point and get you what you're entitled to.
And just to clear up the procedure then, you would submit the claim once it comes in, and that would be in some type of a written form, I'm guessing, not just a bill, but an explanation.
We upload all the information to the
You would submit that.
I'll probably have Rich do it, to be honest, but
He needs to take the photos that he's taken,
Mhm.
then write up
Make that
his
part
costs
of the
for picking the rocks
counties,
and his damage to,
add that to the county records.
then he has to write up what his damages are.
Okay.
And they have to be clear and concise. They can't just be, well, we estimated. It has to be.
You would pay some of the young people, I think, to do some of the
We
picking.
spent 100 hours out there
You
picking
spent
rocks
yeah.
at $20 an hour, whatever it is. Okay, and come up with a final cost, and then submit that in the pictures to my office.
Well, let's submit it into, let's go through Chuck. I think
Well,
the relationship between, let me just say, the relationship between you is not good. You two. Let's,
there is no good or bad relationship. We have a difference in
well,
opinion.
I observe something a little differently, perhaps, and maybe Mr. Wagner does too, but to avoid any additional misunderstandings, I would just assume you deal with Mr. Whiting.
Okay.
you can get it to me.
Yes.
But generally, I go through the department that the claim exists. So
I will visit with, if and when they need to make a fence. I will visit with Kyle Engelstead, the guy on the grader. Kyle's probably the best employee you got out there.
Well, thank you.
He jumps in, crawled under a vehicle in a blizzard to help a young lady get out of the ditch. I was there when he did it. But I will, if we need to make a couple passes, not one great big one like last year, we could figure something out. But I will only deal with Kyle.
Okay. We will move on. Thank you much.
I may be out this afternoon. I am sick as a dog. It might have contributed to my attitude, but
Chuck's name on each one.
Good.
yeah. But I'll just walk out.
Don't forget mileage.
Thank you, Mr. Reese.
Mm-hmm. Have a good day.
Mr. Wilhite? Thank you, sir.
Take care. All right, Mr. Tadman, I believe, is up next.
He just walked out.
Mr. Wagner summoned him outside.
Now he's coming back.
Good morning.
You're late.
Morning.
Good morning. Mine's short and sweet, and I see if
Looks
it's,
like it.
Just scroll down.
it's up next. Here it is. I'm just looking to fill an open telecommunicator position in the dispatch center. We had a resignation about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
We don't need them, you know.
And this will fill that position and get us back up to where we are. We'll have to go through all the training, but usually training takes about 4 months.
You have someone? You have someone?
Well, we're interviewing.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we're in the
All right.
process, but just trying to get it going again. But we've been short on that, but just looking to fill that position.
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Okay, thank you.
Good job on the investigation for the burglaries.
Yeah, that was, you don't get those too often, but that turned out,
Yeah.
had a lot of the other counties involved, and
Mhm.
there's a couple out there that we don't know if we solved, but they were a couple of years ago the same thing, where people were coming in and doing it during funerals. So
Yeah.
this is where we recovered all the stolen guns that are taken during funerals. So
Yeah, because we actually had in my area about 3 weeks ago
yep,
that we had a funeral at our church, and during the funeral that their home was broken into and guns were stolen.
Are you kidding me?
yeah. So we worked with Pennington County, Marshall County, Red Lake County, and did a search warrant and got them back. So not all of them, but
No.
most of them.
Yeah.
So okay, that's all I have.
Thank you much.
Have a good day.
Yeah.
Did we actually vote on that?
Yeah, we did. Yep.
I'm missing.
Mark,
Right.
you've got some abatements.
I've got one.
There's one.
Yeah. Good morning.
Fine.
Let's see. Yeah, what I've got here, one local option abatement is what we're looking at, and this one is a fire, and it happened about a year ago, and they did not choose to rebuild on that spot. So
Mhm.
I just need to get an abatement approved.
So moved.
By Joan, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Paul. Any further questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
All right, that's all I got.
Do you have time to go to the bathroom?
All right.
Go ahead.
Thank you. See you later. Yes. Yeah.
Well, to kill some time, there's been a whopping 94 voters that have gone to polling places today.
Already?
Already. Brings our total to 1,747 votes at this time.
That's what I was wondering, how many mail-in or
Yeah, 1,653 that we processed through last night.
In the mail-in, they received two ballots?
Three.
Three others.
Three.
I
Yeah,
got,
one for each party.
for each party. Yep.
and you can only send back one, and
Yep.
Yeah, and so
And you also have to indicate which party you're
yeah,
voting for.
yeah.
and so there's guidelines and stuff for us to follow if they were to send back one voted and two blank, or if they voted on all three. It all depends whether we can accept it or not on how that goes.
Can only vote for one party.
Yes.
Yes. The party you most closely agree with.
Sure. How'd you lose your voice? NFL season.
You don't,
Sounds like a bad cold.
it's a bad
Virus.
That was me, actually. Mine was gone.
just don't get me coughing. I might not be able to stop. Am I up?
Yep.
You are.
So we have resolution 2416 approving the establishment of the West Central Regional Water District. I think Commissioner Strandell brought this up earlier today. This resolution is drafted by Daniel Marks, the attorney from Flaherty and Hood, is working with the study committee. And by adopting this, each county having adopted it, Mr. Marks will be able to file whatever he needs to file with the district court. He'll do that in Clay County. He has given us a draft of, please don't ask me a lot of questions on this, but this is what apparently needs to be submitted. And then we also have to have the engineering study, which is right here, done by AE2S, and they've got the map in here, plus some tentative lines. You can kind of see their plans. So just met last Monday, and the group is ready to go. And I'm trying to remember if one of the other counties, I think, has already approved this, and I think the other one votes today.
Good.
What was the reasoning or decision to have it filed in Clay County?
The attorney met with the county attorneys and just talked about scheduling.
Mm-hmm.
Greg Ritz's thought was that it'd be slowest in Polk.
Because of caseload.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it doesn't really make any difference, but so he's gonna go with Clay.
Okay.
I wish there was something more to show you, but it's all in your packet.
It's been discussed at length, and
Yeah, and Warren and Paul have
Yeah.
been on top of this, so.
What, did they mention, at what point on this last meeting, once this goes through, when we will pick the new board then?
No, I haven't mentioned that. I think that'll be part of the court proceedings.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming that Polk County will have 2 reps on that board.
Right.
I think one of them would probably need to come from Climax, and we have Brian Evenson involved now.
Right.
A very good man.
Yep.
And the other one from some rural area, or Neilsville or whatever.
That's where I would think. That's what I was thinking from that southern half.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I was
could be something over closer to Fertile too. Doesn't make any difference, I don't think.
thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I showed you the I think at one point I showed you what the a 7, a 9, or 11 member board, depending on percentages of population, we might end up with
3.
3.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yeah,
Depending the size.
And you just have to find those people.
Right.
but basically how this district will, develop will be based on the number of people who want the service.
Correct.
And I imagine there'll need to be grant money to pay for the big distribution lines.
Yes.
Well, I have a
Because-
feeling Neilsville is going to want it
Yes,
right away. That guy has been there from the beginning. Does on your map up there?
This map up here shows you.
Yeah, there you go. And Beltrami. So if there was somebody from those 2 spots,
yeah.
would be classic. And I know a lot of people in Beltrami, so.
They're saying nobody in Shelley is interested in it, which
Correct. That's what we've heard, right?
which
Kind of surprising.
it's their business, I guess.
Mhm.
But
How about Fertile?
Don't know yet.
Okay.
Yeah, there's only a few people that know anything about it there. But finding somebody there, it wouldn't be that tough. But Beltrami would be a good person
Oh,
because,
definitely.
Mm-hmm.
because
They've
they're
expressed
kind of
interest.
they're kind of combined interests, so they would
Mhm.
they would have the better They would have the best interest of both towns in hand anyway.
But like I say, as somebody in Beltrami wants a service, it's probably not gonna happen for a long time.
Right.
If they'll get some
It's for the future.
bigger distribution lines, don't
Correct.
wanna put in a 2-inch line going out of
No, no, no.
climax, it'd have to be something bigger,
hmm
Mhm.
Yeah, it's
that'll take.
But it
a
would come from Neilsville, you would expect, because that's a straight shot.
Yeah,
it's pretty easy to see what the line would eventually be in Polk County. Just go this way.
That's
and
what
then-
I would say.
Because Crookston is interested too. And by the way, they're talking to me again about that aquifer study with the ARPA money.
Mm.
So I got to follow up with them on that, but they're concerned about their wells. But at least Corky Reynolds thought this was a great idea.
they'd be in Crookston aquifers,
Yeah,
Crookston service.
yeah, they need a new study. They need to know. They've had some claims against the city from farmers who have run dry on their wells.
Hmm.
Um, so I think we were talking.
I just can't understand how that works. How can you make? Forget it. I'm not gonna make that.
Well, you're pulling water out of the same aquifer.
Whose fault is that? Somebody's fault. Go find your own aquifer then.
Maybe your DNR guys. I don't know if they're the ones that answer it, but
Was there any discussion at the last meeting, like what Nicole brought up with?
Yes.
Yeah, we did, we had what's his name, Glenn Bedemeyer, something, what's his name, from the North Dakota Aquifer, the East Central Association. Don't remember,
I can't remember his name now.
was Glenn the first name?
No, it's not.
Neil Breidenbach.
Neil Bradenbach. Yeah,
Yeah, he was totally dispelled what Nicole talked about. He said it was totally no problem at all.
yeah. I think we'll be fine with Polk.
Well, it'd be nice then for. It would be nice in that case then for him to visit with her
You know,
to dispel her fears.
yeah, it would probably be good. I don't know where she gets her information.
That's what I'm getting at.
I don't think it should be a big concern.
That's my point.
Do we have a motion to approve this resolution?
I do move.
And Warren does. Is there a
Second.
second by Paul? Further discussion?
No, I think this is be a good use of our money to increase the size of the pipe, because that would basically service Polk County, not
Exactly.
Norman or the Clay.
Right. I agree.
And that's in place, so we've done a good share of that now with having the big line coming into Climax.
Climax, yeah.
Thinking forward.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as using our money for other counties, I don't think that's gonna be the case. It'll be basically pretty much spent in Polk County.
To get us to Neilsville.
Because the talk has been if this service becomes something in Norman County, they'll probably want another line coming across the Red
That's what they
River.
talked about.
Well,
And
that's
the
what
same
they
with
show on the
Clay.
map. It's for each county then to
Yeah.
have their own line coming across.
So we're taking care of our people, basically.
Right on.
It's the way I.
You can see the line coming over to Halstead
Right. Mm-hmm.
and Hendrum.
And it's going to backfill anyway, eventually, when they pull that other line across.
Mhm. And each line should be backing the other services.
Mhm.
In fact, I think Marshall Polk will end up being some arrangement with this district.
Yes.
So we back up each other.
Right.
Because the service that they have going into just north of Climax is just a 2-inch line there.
Really?
Yeah, and that's why it's scaled down to that point when it has gone farther
It's the end
south.
of the line. Lines get narrower as you go, so at some point the engineers will figure that all out. You want to get into some legislation?
Yes, a
Help
lot of
me
federal
along
and
here.
state dollars.
Okay, so there is a bonding request in for the West Central Regional Water District.
Mhm.
Of course, Gary mentioned that we talked to Keel and to Johnson last week. Had Steiner down there.
Mhm.
He's down there this week today with some of the other counties in our 9-member group. Walking the floors, knocking on doors, try and make sure. It gets a little complicated on some of the nuances of funding, the way the agencies get involved.
Rob Van Seck, is that his name? Commissioner, what county is he from?
I don't know who that is.
Rob, Vanasek.
Vanasek.
Remember that name?
He spoke RC on very strongly with the 9-county project, so he must be from one of those counties. But anyhow, real good lobbyist for us. Spoke very well.
Well, you mentioned Key in the MRC meeting yesterday. He might be
He's agreed to
biggest
carry the bill.
proponent.
Okay.
So we need him.
And then I can't remember the other. Krista. I can't remember what her last name is to carry it on the House side. But it was kind of interesting at our household hazardous waste. Some of those counties that are involved in that are also involved with the landfill and this hub and spoke. And a couple of them had mentioned they knew that John was driving down, that on Wednesday, but they were not aware of like the legislative conference going on. So they were kind of a little disappointed that, they hadn't been made aware of that, because they would have, liked to have been down there also, more support, but
AMC works with AMC arranges all those. Yeah. So we ended up in there with Kitson and Marshall and Clay. We got Keel to ourselves, but a couple other things that.
Before we move on to other things, we should vote on this. I don't think we have, right?
No, we haven't.
Yeah.
If we could do that.
Sorry.
Anything else on the resolution 2024-16 establishing of the water district? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Other legislative updates.
Well, Gary and I sat in on a rather protracted meeting on some considerations from the Department of Revenue on how to value utilities. Of course, for us, that means Enbridge. And probably this is something to watch. I don't know if anything's going to come out of it in legislation, but they, typically these things have been, the value has been defined on the property value itself. It gets contested by the company, Enbridge. And we ended up in about a 7 or 8 year dogma over, because it goes to tax court. And in the end, Enbridge won. And what did we have to pay Enbridge back? Do you remember?
I don't remember the exact number right offhand.
It was $2-3 million, something like that. But the legislature stepped in and funneled the funds through us to them to pay for that. So what they're trying to do is come up with a new system, and it's basically based on the value of the product going through their pipes. And I don't know that anybody was opposed to them looking at something new, but it all depends on where they start. Otherwise, we're going to be right back where we are. For Enbridge's is not more than 2% of our tax base. It's our largest taxpayer. But you go to Marshall, Kitson, Clearwater, it's some of those counties, it's
Red Lake.
over 50% of their value.
Sure.
Mhm.
So just a minute change can throw everything out of whack for them. So this is something to watch. And I just put that in here in case you have interest in that kind of thing, because we did spend quite a bit of time on it for a few years. I was kind of glad to not have to deal with it for a while. I won't go through all of this stuff. You got people waiting for you, but the mantra that they have no money, I think, really refers to the operating budgets.
Yeah.
And I think we could be mildly optimistic on the bonding side, but it's going to take some work. We're up against one of the agencies down there, that kind of a shell game thing going on it. They have their reasons, their issues, and John is trying to work through all that. And,
It's ironic.
well,
We have a $5 billion surplus and nobody has money.
I think I think one of the
Projected out to 25 and 26, and then they say now we got a big deficit. Oh,
Yeah, the deficit
what are we
is
going
about
to do
equal to
now?
what we have
Right?
supposedly the, surplus
25,
now.
26.
well, we're looking at $61 million for this, and I think they were saying between 700 and 900 million dollars statewide. Well, that's a good chunk of that
Mhm.
percentage wise.
Yeah, and
Election coming up.
actually with
Governor.
Governor Walz, that his bonding bill spends a lot of money on buildings that are, preservation, state-owned buildings. That's kind of where his, priority is looking for this bonding bill, and nothing for, or very minimal for a lot of these other projects. So
Well,
How are they paying for that massive office building that they're,
Yeah, Deb Keel said they have to all move out because they've got money to remodel that.
well, it's almost doubled from what the initial estimate was. And that came up last year, and, they didn't even bat an eye at it. So,
So last meeting, John mentioned that he and I are talking to a consultant on doing a fiscal analysis because we still have to do a bond
mhm.
as a match, and we're looking at probably $10 million there. That's all based on tip fees and everything for the 9 counties. It's not all Polk County, but we would be serving the debt. So trying to get a professional set of eyes to look at it from a cash flow projection standpoint. So I know we got that going. Anyway, I don't have much more to add. I'm gonna start coughing. Excuse me.
this strictly informational, of course.
Right.
Mhm.
Nothing to act on. Just pay attention.
Jeff, did you want the Enbridge numbers?
Sure, give it to them.
So the total was 1.8 million, and the county ended up paying $4,149. The state had to cover the rest. They covered the rest.
We're waiting for 2 more minutes.
Yeah, I think we should take a break. We'll take at least a 10-minute break. a full team now, or are we still waiting?
We can go.
All right, go ahead,
If they join us, they'll join.
for sure.
Well, good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. My name is Teresa Ebengay. I am the Regional Director for the Northwest Region of the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources. We are here today just to have a meet and greet and have some open conversation and dialogue and kind of hear and understand if there's any issues or concerns that you have. I will, if you're okay with it, I will have my staff introduce themselves.
Please.
Okay.
Morning, my name is Nathan Kessner.
Nathan?
I'm the Northwest Regional Manager with Ecological and Water Resources. So we handle like waters permitting, irrigation, public waters, aquatic invasive species. Scientific and natural areas is on your list. We also administer those land types. So I'm really happy to be here. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks, Nathan.
Good morning. My name is Carrie Ross. I serve as the Regional Planner for the Northwest Region with the DNR.
Very good.
And eventually, or hopefully, we will have two of our wildlife staff from our Fish and Wildlife Division join us here in a little bit.
Sure.
With that, hopefully you have received the handout. I see that I think if I scroll down.
You have to go all the way to the end, and I don't to get in there.
Maybe I can do it this way quicker. Well, as I'm doing this, and as Emily enters, maybe she can introduce herself.
Me?
Yep.
You're on. Emily Hutchins, Assistant Area Wildlife Manager. Oh, Teresa, there you are. For the Erskine office. Thank you.
Former UMC student,
True.
I believe.
That is true.
I do have extra handouts if anyone would like them.
I'm just looking at it on my screen.
Let's see, do I have one more?
Good. I can see the screen.
Yeah. Otherwise, here we go. All right. All right. So what I would like to do is just talk about a couple of things on the handout here. I'm not going to read through everything. And then I am just going to open up for questions to see if there's any questions, opportunities, concerns that you have. So for in Polk County, we have several different state administered land types. We have one aquatic management area, 3 fish management areas, water dam sites, 7 scientific and natural areas, 3 native prairie bank easements, 1 state recreation area, 9 public water accesses, 45 wildlife management areas, 75 miles of trails on the Red Lake River, and 75 miles of water trails on the Red River. We also have 561 miles of grant and aid snowmobile trails and 25 grant and aid ATV trails. For public lands here that we manage, we have over 27,000 acres, which is only about 2% of the land base here in Polk County. And then we pay approximately $174,000 in payment in lieu of taxes. Some of the projects we have completed here in the county are that our Red Lake State Recreation Area contributes over $5 million to the local economy with over 100,000 visitors in 2023. All of our scientific and natural areas, we have a very active program, and we maintain these through fire, wood removal, and invasive species. We also conduct native seed harvest on those lands. One pretty large success was at the Sandhill Lake Dam that was replaced with a rock arch rapids, both for fish passage and to remove the heaving and moving of the sheet pile dam that was there. The removal of some of these dams has been a really large success for DNR and for our native fish. We have had sturgeon now for the first time ever actually spawning in the Red River Valley. And so we're very, very pleased with that and very pleased with all of our collaborators and coordinators with that effort. So that was great. The other thing here too is we also help with the One Watershed One plan, and that was approved here in 2019. So with that, on the back, there's just a few opportunities that we have. One that I know that is a big concern here is well interferences and the long-term sustainability of the groundwater within Polk County. We also partner with several entities, including the Red Lake Watershed District, Polk County here, local citizens, to try to help find some long-term solution to flooding problems, including addressing the aging structure of Turtle Crossing Connection lakes. So again, with that, I'd just like to open it up and see if you have any thoughts, questions, concerns. Now is the time to see if there's anything we can collaborate on with the DNR.
You do also review or look at fish populations and such, Lake of the Woods? Is
Yes.
that in your district?
Yep. Lake of the Woods is in our district. We have a very good handle and a very large fish division that goes out and surveys Lake of the Woods. Right now, as a matter of fact, we do have open a comment period on our Lake of the Woods fish management program, fish management plan. So if you would like, you can get online to the DNR website and have comments on that.
Okay. I have comments and thoughts myself about the success of fishing and being down on that lake. What reaction or what comment would you have about that?
Let's see. We just have our wildlife. We don't have fisheries staff here, do we? So what we do is we monitor the fish and we do creel surveys, I believe, on Lake of the Woods and monitor all of that. And that's what we are looking at as part of this fish management plan is what is the fishing like? We have surveys out there that we're conducting with fisher people that are out there and the users of the lake, not only just for fishing, but also for other recreational opportunities. So now is a perfect time. If you do have questions and thoughts on that, please go to our DNR website and look for that survey. If you want, I can specifically give you the link to that. And I'll have Carrie here. She's taken notes for me because she keeps me in line. So we can get that information back to you as to the direct link for that survey.
Well, I've fished that lake for about 20 years, much of it in Buffalo Bay in Manitoba, but it's still the same lake. But I think the fishing success is down quite a bit. And I'm just wondering if that shows up with the process of studying fish population. If so, if it is down, or if it is not, I haven't fished as much in the last few years because of COVID and flooding and other issues. So I can't say that I'm got a good handle on things at the moment, but that's the comments I hear is that fishing is down.
Oh, well, those are great comments. What I can do also is see what like the creel surveys and that information that we have, I'm sure is linked somewhere on our website, and I can find that information out and get kind of a status and a trend for you if you would like.
What fishing limits are you proposing some change in those?
At Lake of the Woods right now, currently, I believe the fishing limits are going to be the same. One thing that has been proposed across the board is to reduce the walleye limit to 4 instead of 5, I believe it is currently. So that is something that the department is looking at as a whole, is to figure out, do we want to decrease that walleye limit?
I would assume I would like to see you eliminate one line in ice fishing.
Yeah.
You can have 2 lines per person.
Right.
One line would be enough.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that comment, and I'll take that in back and to our fisheries department. Other thoughts, concerns?
Oh, just a couple questions. Like you list that you've got 3 fish management areas, but on this map, I'm only seeing 2. Unless are cross and turtle 2 separate ones, or
They may be considered each separate on the database. Again, we don't have our fisheries staff person here. I'm sorry, but we can find that information out.
okay. And I suppose then, like, do you know what the schedule for restocking fish? Like for Maple Union, Sarah. What kind of a schedule they're on, or
I personally don't know that. Again, I oversee all 7 divisions. And so I really apologize that our fisheries person couldn't be here today. But again, I can get that information for you if you would like.
yeah.
Could you just update us a little bit on, like, or me, on the Turtle Cross and connections, what you were doing out there? I know I've heard about what was going on out there. It had to do with the what they call that, frozen out or whatever they were with the flooding and the depth. What was some of the decisions and stuff that was going on with that out there?
Sure. I don't think any decisions have been made yet. Right now, my understanding is that a project team has been formulated. I'm also the co-chairperson for the flood damage reduction work group. And in that work group, we have authorized that project team some funding so that we can seriously look at this, set out a project need, and look at alternatives for that area. So we're at the beginning of that process currently.
Teresa,
Yep.
the last meeting was in November. The watershed district engineer, I guess, had done a pretty extensive list of alternatives, and the group was in the process of identifying the best ones. So that's where it's at, and we haven't had anything since then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Looking at different options for replacing structures or not, or what to do, because they're all connected. And so Turtle, South Connection, and Cross Lake all have need of revampment of structures or removal, and so that's what the process is about.
Okay.
And then determining what the levels would be, because I think it was pretty much a consensus of Cross Lake, that level could be increased without encroaching, on the banks. And then I think with Turtle that, there's one landowner especially that needs to be, that they need to work together with that
And
person.
if I'm not mistaken, I think he has finally come to grips or into the light of interested in participating now.
Yeah, there was some discussion about, I don't know if it would be an easement or how it was all, if that's actually been settled, but he would experience some increased saturation or water levels on a portion of his property. And there was discussion about how to, let's see, I might be getting this mixed up a little bit, which lake was which. There was discussion on,
It would have been on Turtle, right?
well, there was discussion on one of the lakes, how they would fence it off to keep the public out of a ditch or something, but that wasn't Turtle, that was a different location. So yes, the individual on Turtle seemed to be,
Agreeing and coming on board with the project.
compromising.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. And I don't know that he was ever against the project. I think, he just had his concerns and brought them forth. And I think, it's been a good working relationship between the entities. And so.
Doug, would you like to introduce yourself?
I would. Doug Frankie, I'm area wildlife manager out of Thieford Falls. Apologize for not introducing myself earlier. We, the last couple years, there's been a merger of area offices. So the Crookston office and the Thief River office merged into one area. And so I supervise Pennington, Polk, Red Lake, half of Marshall County, and into Beltrami. Emily's currently still in the what we call our Erskine field office. And so instead of it being an area office, it's now a field office. The function's pretty much the same, but you're going to see or maybe see my name or hear from me a little bit more in the future, on projects. So but Emily's still the brains of the outfit as far as Polk and Red Lake counties, and I'll rely on her heavily over the course of things we're going forward. But that's how we're structured now. The area office is in Thief River. But yeah, thanks.
All right. Other questions, thoughts? I know that groundwater has been quite a concern in the area here with well interferences. So if there's any questions on that, that's why we have Nathan here.
Do you know if there are any and how many parcels that the DNR has for sale within Polk County currently?
Currently, we do not have any for sale in Polk County that I know of.
There will be upcoming, the proposed couple parcels. I think there's one that's probably will go on the fall sale. It's a small. So when the state tries to reduce its land holdings, it's for a very specific targeted reason. Just like when we acquire something, the days of acquiring stuff just so we can gain land base is gone. So everything we do is very, very, strategic. And the ones that I'm mentioning is just there's no access to it. It's a small parcel. It has a big, large wetland system in it. So it's that one's proposed to be sold. It's running through the.
So it's of no use to the state, so let's dump it?
Well, we did attempt to try to gain access to it. So the first thing you do is try to gain easement access, or if you can get another acquisition to gain access to it. And those attempts have just not been fruitful. So it's just like, why continue to have a piece of property that the public can't have direct access to? And instead, let's find another parcel that does make sense. And so those are the rationale of why and not always. We have land holdings that are landlocked that have an environmental value that we're not willing to part with, even though it doesn't have public access. But those are getting less and less.
This particular piece of property does have valuable natural resources. It certainly does. There hasn't been any opportunity, as Doug mentioned, to get access to it. We just after deer hunting season received negative comments from 2 different people about, what's the point of having this property if we can't get to it? So it was acquired before I was born. So it's been in state ownership for a long time. I guess I just aged myself.
Yeah.
But in any case,
21?
not a day over. Things were different at one point in time. Land was acquired. Rules change. We don't acquire land without access any longer. And why it was acquired? Well, because it does have valuable natural resources, but it's causing contention with the neighbors. The neighbors have expressed interest in acquiring that piece themselves, and so I think it will be a win-win in the end.
Any updates on prairie chicken populations?
They're remaining fairly low. We'll be starting our spring surveys here real soon. Typically late March, early April. We are searching for a new place to put one of our viewing blinds because last year the chickens didn't show up. So they're moving around. So yeah, the numbers are declining. Sharp-tailed grouse are increasing.
and this is referring to the very north. So the chicken range used to be, much larger in wax and wanes. Well, over the years, there were much higher populations of chickens in Polk County. Due to, and they rely on grass. They rely on large tracts of grass, and so their populations on the north end are declining. Is further south you go, there's fairly stable. I mean, it's still a tiny population of birds in the state, but they're sustainable. Yeah, and Emily mentions sharp tails are coming down, and we're actually doing
Moving
our,
south.
moving south. So our wildlife research folks are looking into hybridization project and looking at the interactions of the two species that are, is it to the detriment of the prairie chicken or not, and what does that really mean going forward? So stay tuned, I guess.
Turkeys are up everywhere.
They're doing well.
They do well in open winters like this.
Any other questions? All right. If not, I want to let you guys know that I have an open door, open phone policy. Please, if there's any questions, concerns, issues that you have, I will leave my my card with you. And yeah, definitely. Anytime you would like me to come back or give additional presentations on fisheries or something, let me know, and we will surely do so.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you.
Thanks. Thanks for coming, you guys.
Yes. Thank you very much for having us.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to only have a couple.
Yeah. Just
Thank you, everybody. I'll intend to, we'll try to do an annual meeting for wildlife.
Good plan.
Take care. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else, Chuck?
Nothing else.
You gonna go home and go to bed?
We're gonna have a building committee meeting after this, then I'm gonna go home, go to bed. Definitely.
I make a motion.